champion.
Can I get COVID through Skype?
Oh, you can. I'm going to adjust myself here.
Don't worry, Seth. I'll mail you some.
We don't.
They've been talking about how
envelope
ferrets might be able to get it now, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Beautiful. Well, what a wonderful first 20 seconds of recording. And welcome to, I guess, the brain trust of our Rogue Trader network of podcasts. Here to talk about the latest and greatest news in Warhammer, which thankfully today there is some. I see several of us are day drinking, so good job. Let's keep that Saturday pride. Wonderful. I'm John, of course, of the Mob Rules podcast. Why don't we kind of go around the virtual room, have everyone talk at once, and then we'll finish out these intros in a really unorganized way.
All right, 1, 2, 3, everybody talk.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Michael from High Lords of Terra podcast.
From the Dangli Boyz.
This is Danny from Mob Rules.
All right, cool. I love how Michael from the High Lords of Terra, as master of Skype, just overruled all of your voices and was like the clearest one in the room the whole time.
It actually almost sounded like we planned that, one after another.
A little bit.
Yeah,
we tried to do it poorly and it worked out.
This is way too positive.
I think that's the theme of this network: trying to be shit and somehow being entertaining.
Seth,
That's
just described our entire podcast in Mob Rules here. We're like, wait, no, it's meant to no. But yeah, so we have Mark and Andrew from they're down under 40Z Cabal or 40K Cabal podcast. I always get that wrong.
NZ40 Cabal.
NZ40 Cabal, man, that is my bad there.
You got to say the Z properly though.
I haven't said a Z properly since I lived in the UK. Maybe one of these days here. And then we also have Seth from the Dangli Boyz waving. I'm going to say that for the people who listen to the audio feed of it there perfectly. And of course, Michael from High Lords of Terra. Here all to talk about the very big preview that came out today with the release, or I guess not the release, but the announcement of a new edition of Warhammer, 9th edition. Guys, the most important thing on everyone's mind here, logo gate. How do you feel about offset for logos?
It's horrible. I don't like it.
A little upset, not gonna lie.
I could give a fuck.
I
thought
have no opinion.
I thought it was very interesting, divorcing themselves further from the eagle iconography for reasons that, for people who live in America, that should be very, very clear. And I suspect this will be the last edition that even has the eagle iconography part of it at all. I suspect that's just going to go away. Number 2, we noticed that someone on the first reaction video I did noticed it was off-center, and now I can't unsee it. Yeah.
I
also like that they redesigned.
So all these reaction videos coming and people complaining about it being off-center. All right, now you can talk. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna.
We did not do that well. Also noticed that they redesigned the Warhammer logo recently and made a big thing of that very recently with like the hammer and the eagle combined, and now they've just changed the eagle again. I'm
really sad we're saying the word eagle over and over and over again. He's not spamming the eagle screech button.
Yeah.
But that's all the
you
way
guys,
over there.
Time out. You know that is not what an eagle sounds like, right? It really bothers me.
Hawk.
It's what freedom sounds like.
It's a red-tailed hawk.
Yeah.
It really bothers me.
So Seth, as I know you are a veterinarian of birds, I did just Google cool bird noise.
Yeah.
And and that came back as an eagle.
That's what it is. Yeah. No, they do it in movies all the time. They're like, look at the eagle. And I'm like, that is not what it sounds like at all.
They have a way more annoying call.
They sound like a large angry chicken.
Which is
why not majestic.
It's why it's really not cool to use like Danny. If I'm calling Danny the eagle in a pure power move to try and promote him up there, I can't have a weird chicken noise accompany his every word. So yeah, we gotta do the American.
I mean, to be fair, John, that would be a lot more accurate.
Angry chicken Danny.
Fair. So I guess let's start with some of the news that we learned today and go over there. It's kind of a big stealth one that kind of went into there. Big Mike Brandt, Nova Open organizer, all that other kind of fun stuff, is now working for GW as kind of like their tournament liaison person.
Yeah, that's a
Could his
Yeah.
head get big? That's my question.
No, because his body is too small to support that kind of a weight or load.
I mean, all power to Mike Brandt and what he built with Nova, but like, man, he's got an ego, and I'm just like, oh, great.
I
This is
do
gonna
think
be
it's
fun.
weird that kind of like the world, like Com 40K for at least the past 5 or 6 years has been all about ITC, kind of building up ITC. And then when we hear about this kind of like universal competitive mission packet that they're coming out with, we're like, yeah. And they're like, yeah. And it's going to be like, guy in charge will be like, yeah. And I'm like, it's going to be Nova. I'm like, oh, okay. It was just, it's.
I felt like they threw the ITC directly under the bus like 3 different times during that video.
For sure, right? I mean,
Like, I mean obnoxiously and not kindly, considering that several FLG and ITC administrators / people / playtesters are GW employees. So
it's weird.
yeah, it was odd.
Is that on purpose to try and like GW's way of basically just pissing on the fence post and just saying we run 40K, not you guys?
Just a lack. Well, it's either a power move or a lack of respect or both. So interesting. If I were those guys who literally saved their game from dying, I would feel maybe slightly shit upon. But what do I know?
This is just
there's already been some issue in the background where they tried to work with FLG and they haven't. So, I mean, speculation, but
this is just the end of
still like
Titanic,
the idea.
where you have the door and only one person can fit on that door. And then it just
Okay,
yeah.
Rose. Okay, Rose.
Reese was Jack. That's all it
Well,
is.
Reese is far too big to fit on that door compared to Mike Brandt could fit on a very small door, like a French half door. Maybe, or...
Oh man.
I'm not super excited by one uniform mission set like that. To me, doesn't sound super exciting. Like half the fun. Like I've played in Nova, I've played in Warzone Atlanta stuff, I've played Adepticon, I've played ITC. Like I enjoy the variety. So I'm just hoping there's variety to whatever mission pack they drop, because if it's the same 6 missions at every event everywhere, it's going to be a little boring.
So maybe the variety so like it's important to have some kind of standard, right? Because like it's hard to measure stuff in the, like for ITC specifically, right? It's hard to measure a bunch of different events that have very disparate rule sets. And so maybe like the big difference comes in the terrain, but even then, like I don't really see that happening. So I agree with you, Seth. I don't want to see it get boring if we have a bunch of events that are exactly the same.
But there's also no reason to assume it's only going to be 6 missions, just because there's generally.
That's
6
fair.
rounds in a
That's a
event.
good point.
Yeah,
I mean, GW spits out missions pretty quickly. Like they could easily put a whole bunch of competitive ones in there.
They put out 6 new ones every year.
If Chapter
That'd be good.
approved 2019 as any indicator, which by the way, those missions are great. They discovered how to make missions for 8th edition just in time for 9th. So that's, and I'm not, I say that as a joke because it's funny, but it's also true. The missions are great. And maybe the missions in 9th will start from a better place.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Maybe this is like a psychic awakening thing where last year's chapter approved missions were not designed for 8th. They were actually designed with 9th in mind.
Sure.
to kind of carry through for that first part. Also, like if you look at it from a pure business standpoint, the ability to bring in like a tournament packet book the size of chapter approved. So there's one more thing to buy every year is going to be your tournament book is kind of big high, which makes me think there are going to be a wide variety of missions coming out of this.
Also,
Hopefully.
potentially Maelstrom.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that could be a differentiation between.
You
different
mean I
events,
have to
too.
find those cards?
No, you got to buy new ones. On the deck for 9.
Don't worry,
Come on now.
Seth. They'll all be available for you. And the new app will have a deck shuffler.
If
and
you
draw
do
cards
notice
for you as well.
in the price
I'm gonna go
rise
find
list,
Damn decks.
in the price rise list, all of the decks are in there.
And the dice.
Just saying.
Bum, bum,
Dice are real important in 9th edition, Seth. You're gonna have to get on board with them.
bum.
Totally use GW dice. All my other dice got to get
Really-
pitched.
I really
Do you
am
think they'll
looking
bring
forward
back the
to finding
dice app
those
as part of
cards.
an app?
Oh god, I hope not, man. I got into
Ooh, I wonder if that could be integrated in the 40K app.
Not the current dice app. It'd have to be a new one. It wouldn't
Okay.
surprise me because I'll bet you they hopefully this is really going off in the weeds in a way that no one cares about. But I'll say it anyway because that's my whole thing. There is a business issue that they've had regarding IP and licensing for the for the previous Dice app and also a previous army builder. My suspicion is that the no compete internally for those is lapsing conveniently in time for this app. So.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So it will not be the Assault Dice app. It will not be the fledgling army builder that they built for mobile that never got off the ground. It will be some new thing all in one icon, which throws all of their rebranding out the window because it has half of the new weird eagle and then the old eagle on it as well. So
I will say, at this
nowhere.
point, the only thing that this app is not going to do is blow me because, like, all they talk about is all of the different things that this app does.
You don't know what the scope is. So
dude, even if it is, there'd be people complaining it's 99 cents a month. It literally blows you. Yeah, I got to pay for rules monthly now.
People will give BCP a dollar a year or whatever it is, and they use that at every event. And then they use it not at BCP. They use it for checking scores and such, and use up their server time and have you. So,
heck yes. Welcome.
Hey, another High Lord has appeared. A wild.
Hello.
We be recording, so make sure to swear.
We're already recording. Will from the High Lords of Terra has shown up.
All kinds of good stuff. We're talking about the at this point the new like universal competitive mission packet. And the app and sort of the drawbacks and positives from those two things.
So just to jump in a little bit, we're talking about like paying for 99 cents for the app or something like that. So reading the Warhammer
$3 New Zealand.
$9 New Zealand. Clearly
I was going to say $9.99 a month.
But it seems to say, can my digital codex come bundled with my print one? Yes, whenever you buy a 9th Ed codex, you'll get the digital rules for that codex in the app for free. So I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a cost for it, but it sounds like you still have to buy your rulebook and then stick the rules.
I do not know how they'll do this from a technical perspective, but my take on it when we discussed this on one of our episodes was that the book would have a one-time use QR code.
Yeah.
That you scan and then it adds it and then it's no good anymore.
Yeah.
Links it to an account basically.
That'd be cool.
Which also makes me wonder about the existing 8th. Oh, sorry, Bartosz.
I said time to delete that Mega account.
It also makes me wonder as well because it means the codexes that we bought for 8th, they can't come into 9th. They also said they'll have other ones with like the Crusade rules and stuff in them. So that makes me wonder if you're going to have to rebuy a 9th Ed version of the codex to have the digital rules in the app.
100%. Why would they do it any other way?
You fool, you don't buy the paper copy and the digital copy?
Yeah. My guess is the 8th Ed ones won't go into the digital app, period. They'll just only put the ones that they release in 9th Ed.
This guy businesses.
This guy gets it. But you do bring up a great point about another new way to play being pushed out here with the Crusade system, which I can only assume is going to be real similar to Age of Sigmar's Path to Glory. Yes. What are some of your guys' thoughts on that there?
I think it's actually really cool. I play casual, and I like those casual missions. So yeah. I have no issue with it becoming more interesting or more compelling, and it certainly helps some people in my play group that I have that are leading in that direction. If it's more compelling and more easy to get into and more fun, that's not a lose, as far as I'm concerned.
Seth, you mainly play competitive 40K right now. What was your kind of response to the man, I even Crusade? I forgot the name of it.
The Crusade system.
Yeah.
So in a previous life, I only played one-off goofy games with my friends. I'm down for it. I'd be intrigued to see how it goes. I've played in a few narrative games that were homebrewed in the past. The only thing I would worry about is they said that they didn't explicitly say that it was a self-contained system, like where it would be like the 5 or 6 of us play together and start from ground zero and gain XP together. So if you're going in and you're just if they have a drop-in system, Sometimes the people can have some pretty strong armies, and then you're like, cool, here's my starter army. I'm gonna get screwed. So that'd be the only thing. Just make some sort of system where you have the option to drop in and drop out, because that's the biggest downfall of narrative event or campaigns is you start off with a bunch of people, someone drops out, wants to come in, need a system to make that feasible.
I mean, if you guys don't have narrative campaigns that fall apart after 3 weeks, you're doing it wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Actually, because of
John,
COVID, the one I built
don't
and
at me.
designed never even got to play a game. So did I win? Did I win the
Nice.
Did I win the narrative non-starter?
Heck yeah, yeah.
Due
I'm
to global
calling.
pandemic.
Yeah, I'm calling
I just think it
myself
was
the
really
winner.
delayed.
Delayed.
I actually played one game from it against one of the people, and it was a ton of fun. We used the character building rules in it and all that, so it was kind of great.
Those
That
are
game
so
doesn't
good.
count.
Why? I'm running it.
If you won, it counts.
Yeah, I'm running the
Yeah.
thing, and I've already decided that I've won the whole thing. So get
Got
on
it.
board.
There you go. Campaign finished successfully, right?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Will, what about you? What's your thoughts about this Crusade system coming?
So I'm definitely curious, like, how is it going to work, like, with tournaments, like, or is it going to work with them at all? Like, is this just going to be like a purely casual sort of thing?
I think you bring up a really good point about kind of like maybe having a tournament in a day using this system where your army progressively gets better throughout the event, or like certain units do or certain things do. I mean, that to me is a really interesting way to spend a day.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a really like
Copyright
also-
goes 2020.
yeah. Go with it like that. There's going to be a lot of really fun and interesting stuff that you can do as if you're running a tournament to try and like work that in.
Yeah, for sure. And what I like is if it follows kind of the path to glory, like the Age of Sigmar stuff, where it's like you can do random generation or kind of what you get unit wise depends on the leader you have. That is a system I super enjoy and is really, really, it's a great way to kind of build up a force. So especially in this time with kind of rising prices and a higher like point of entry, having this new satisfying feeling system come in where you can slow grow and build your forces along is super, super great.
Now, John,
To that point, yeah. To that
we don't
point,
know
Tom,
that the point of entry might very well be changing now,
Because they
they did
changed-
say they're going to
yeah.
repoint everything in the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's cool. So yeah, on to that, I guess, unless Andrew, Mark, Danny, do you guys have anything you want to add there about Crusade?
Hype.
Nah, it's not my thing.
I have one more thing to add, which is
Oh yeah.
for how hard they're trying to move away from problematic iconography and languages. Why call it that?
Soy.
When did the Crusades work ever for them?
All right, Black Crusade. Wait, no, that's two things. No, don't use that.
Oh god, no.
but they put
Oh.
Indominus in front of it. It's okay. That
Oh,
makes
yeah,
it
okay, you're
spacey.
right.
Empire. That's
spacey.
Crusade.
As long as it's not a Dominatrix Black Crusade, I think they're good.
Ooh.
Wait,
Are they good?
Oh god, all of your memories coming back.
Paul Winters.
Hey, that
wants
was
to
only
know
the
your
one night.
location.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Well, my LVO memory of this is one of my opponents had a Dark Eldar or Drukhari, using proper terms now, army, and every time he successfully made a reroll, thanks to his like lady HQ choice, he would say "Thank you, mistress" softly and to himself. This was a
Like,
2.5 hour game.
I have never wanted to concede a story more.
I mean, he was a great guy. Don't get me wrong, but like at the same point, I'm like, okay, how do I politely be like, please stop saying that? Like, I
Oh,
understand
I'm
rolling.
so glad you said it that way instead of going the exact opposite direction with it, because that would have been horrifying.
Yeah, no. So I just sat in quiet silence. I want to say that's why I lost my last game is because I'm like, okay, just don't do it. But it was really lack of skill. Anyway,
You missed an opportunity to record it and put it on the soundboard, though.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
he's got you there.
I'm just gonna get someone else to say it, and we'll be there, or we'll end
Wait,
every
wait,
episode.
wait.
You mistress.
Thank you, mistress.
Yeah.
Thank you, mistress.
It honestly sounds way more convincing when Bottle says it.
I think you just should have
Like we
like
have
power moved
practice.
him and been like, "You're welcome."
Ah,
Wow, I like it.
Damn it,
John,
this is
now
why
I
don't
know
win
what
more.
I'm going to say every time I make a reroll when we play next.
Danny with the big mind games.
Yeah.
So moving on away from this horrible discussion, Danny and I set up to do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style watch through of the Ultramarine movie and kind of really punish herself with that. GW releases a 3-minute cinematic to promote the new edition, which is just mind-meltingly amazing of a Necron Imperial battle. Guys, what's your takes on that? Because I was not expecting to have like a full like high quality CG battle to be shown today.
I don't know about anybody else. I'm starting a Necron army. So
No, this is the part where
I
you
guess
say,
I will as well.
I always love Necrons. Let's try it, Andrew.
I had a Necron army in 4th, so technically I'm not bandwagon jumping.
We're gonna see a lot of Necrons here. Michael, you were saying something there about that.
Oh, my joke was I'll start a Necron army too.
Yeah, Michael's saying I got to rebuy everything anyway. So
As someone who owns 120 fully painted and based up to 32 rebased warriors, I want to use the old one out of a sick form of spite and rage, although the new ones do look really nice. I'm already missing a new war gear option that the new warriors have that they called out. That's number one. And number two, Pickle from the previous reaction video, the thing that he said in a disappointed voice, which I am going to record and use later as often as I can get away with, is like, oh man, I need that rod in my life, the little green translucent plastic rod.
Hey, if you want to send me that clip, I can use it way
That
more.
just the best. The
Michael,
best.
can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So when they showed the new warrior kit, they showed like 3 dudes with just the normal flares, and then 2 with like the new like assault gauze flares, the shorter range, more damaging ones. Do you think those are just them showing here's what the other guns look like, or are they talking about doing mixed armament warriors?
I thought exactly both things. I very seriously doubt it'll be mixed armament warriors unless that's a thing in the new edition. I don't know how that works, et cetera, et cetera. My take on it was that they're just offering as an incentive for people like myself who warriors have always just had the Gauss flare. If they come with 1 or 2 new guns, that's an incentive to buy that kit if you want to use those guns. And my suspicion is the Gauss flare will be the saddest one of them.
I was actually going to say we're going to get the new Chaos Marine Havoc's box set situation. We get like 1 or 2 of those guns. And
I was just about to say that.
Box.
Yeah.
Don't you put that evil on me, Mark.
Don't worry, give Shapeways like a month.
It won't even be a month. Pop Goes the Monkey is probably like feverishly building a web store for this.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, man, I mean, after the successful burying of the price increase that they did during the week, I think Shapeways is going to get a bit more custom.
Oh, you mean a third? No, what is it? 1/4, so 3,000. Like, was it about 10 to 15% of their items going up in cost?
Yeah. But beautiful like timing, eh? Because after today, nobody's going to talk about it.
Well, how many mortgage lenders are getting calls from 40K players right now? You know, setting it up so they can buy a new army.
I was going to say, I'm looking at speculation buys right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm just going to refinance so I can get a new Necron army. Woo!
Yeah, I told my wife it was so we could fix up the yard, but I'm buying 40K.
Correct.
We got the double whammy. And
I'll fix up the yard.
eBay is also now had to put tax on for New Zealand prices under our legislation. So all that eBay costs have gone up as well.
You guys just keep getting that rod.
At this point, it's just quicker to PayPal us cash and we'll just ship you boxes.
Like, yeah, I'm happy that I now have like 5 Americans that I know that I can maybe like, hey, you know how you guys can still get it cheaper than us?
Moving on from
Are we going to mule 40k to you?
I think that might be a thing.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, but you're not going to be happy with how we're going to make you smuggle it to us.
or will I?
Yeah.
Those sprues are real skinny.
Thank you, mistress.
But real pointy.
These are really slimy.
So, for
Oh,
all of
man.
those people excited about Reavers, let me tell you about my friend, the Assault Intercessor.
Oh,
Oh,
the Reaver's
Too
big
soon,
brother.
man. Too soon.
The cheapest way to get a Primaris body on the field by 10 points, and literally no one cares. It's so sad.
No, yeah. Assault Intercessors are the new hotness coming in today. One of the 2 models previewed today was like a bolt pistol chainsword. 3 models. Well, the last one doesn't really count because it was like just like a little sexy tease of the waist and things like that. But new Intercessors, and like I said, I was saying during the release here, this Intercessor that was previewed has so much movement on it for a model that is not on a tiny piece of rock, as is being kind
That's
of.
why he gets 8 attacks, John.
Isn't it terrifying? Just kind of
Got up
thinking
since we
about.
talked this morning. I rewatched the video we were just talking about, the kind of cinematic one, and they got the Intercessor with the chainsword, who's either sergeant or whatever. It did have a fast attack badge on, so I did wonder if he's going to be a
Fast attack choice.
Hmm,
Potentially as well.
interesting point.
That's cool.
Well, I mean, the benefit is like, so you do have Reavers in the troops, so they'll already kind of fill that role. I think, like I said, and we know from leaks that there's a huge new influx of Primaris coming.
Yeah.
So including these Assault Reavers. What kind of role do you see these Assault Primaris filling?
probably going into impulses.
Probably trying to get into close combat. That would be my view of what the role that they're going to be filling is.
Wow, Danny. Is that from your professional coaching service?
That was
Yep.
prolific.
You get that. You all get that one free of charge.
Mark, counterpoint to the whole symbol thing. Suppressors are a fast attack, but they have the heavy support logo on them in the codex, so it might be.
That's fair.
Did you actually those new veteran Marines are missing a lot of? There's 2 things that I saw from a modeling perspective that were interesting. Number 1 was I didn't see any skull iconography, which was interesting. And number 2, they did something cool, which I really liked and had not seen before. They likely have done it, and I missed it. But that's where they put the chapter logo down for the Ultramarines, and then right over it, like as an overlay, they put the squad designation marking. In that case, the Tactical Marine, and it actually looked really cool.
Yeah, that's the cover of the new series book. The Storm of Fire?
Yeah.
The new series coming out,
Dawn
which
of
is
Fire.
Dawn of Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Which is based on future 40k history, sending the internet in flames because there's a non-white person and a lady on the cover.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh, what?
I think we need to go back to Michael's point, though. I'm fairly certain that new iconography is just so GW can sell you a new transfer sheet.
Well, it could also be that you have like the Crux Turbinatus or some kind of honor on the other shoulder too.
I don't want to start any conspiracy theories, but if you look at the Heresy era Alpha Legion symbol, I'm just saying.
Yes, do it. My Alpha Marines.
Finally,
just wanna point
Seth's
out,
army in the fluff.
Just to counter a little, I'm looking at the new Warhammer 40,000 site, and they have the new, I'm guessing, some form of veteran Primaris dude with robes and stuff. Is pretty skull decked out, if I'm honest.
Is that the one with the Terminus sword? The Executioner sword?
No, he's got a storm shield and it looks like a Volkite pistol. He's got a straw.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the Volkite pistol with the ridiculously large holster?
You mean the appropriately sized holster?
Burrito bag.
It's his BD.
I liked the comment that they probably smuggle around calzones on the side.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Was really good.
It's their delivery post. It's like Kevin Costner in The Postman as a Primaris.
My take about that model, just before I forget, and I thought this was pretty funny. It looks like they have a storm shield and an iron halo. So either because that's what that little icon is supposed to be. So I'm wondering if it's do they have a combat shield and a 4-up save, or do they have a 3-up save and a backup 4-up save?
What I
And
actually really
if they, from a war gear perspective, my joke was that your chapter's quartermaster wants to know your location.
what I really like is they've got like the inside of the shield quite nicely detailed. There's a little key, so I've now decided that it's literally a key lock to start your storm shield up. Like you insert it and turn on the ignition.
It's
But
just
you
like
take
a
the key
Primaris
out after
patting
it
his
started?
pockets like the whole time, being like, "Shit, I gotta turn my shield on. Where did I put that thing?" I have so many pouches all over my outfit. The Marine problem.
Well,
Does
you know,
anyone
a
notice
normal
that he's wearing a
captain.
tabard under his armor?
Yeah, that's a bit odd. I don't know if I like that.
A normal captain will have a storm shield and an iron halo, though, so it could just be a character.
Yeah.
I just thought it was neat that they all had Volkite pistols, Iron Halo, Storm Shield. Like, it was
did
kind
they
of a
all
neat
have
combo.
iron halos?
Yeah, they showed 3 of them, and they all had an Iron Halo little piece.
Oh, hang
Never
on,
mind,
where's the
I'm
other
wrong.
ones?
Well, who knows what that'll mean in 9th edition, through the 9th edition lens. But yeah, Dawn of Fire, brand new series coming out. High Lords, you guys like your narrative, like to talk. What are your thoughts about the Avenging Sun, which is going to be the first novel by Guy Haley, which I think is a great person to start off a new series. But kind of what are your hopes and thoughts on this new series coming out, being promoted very heavily as kind of like Horus Heresy level quality?
It won't be Horus Heresy quality level. So I mean, not to throw this guy under the bus, he's okay. Number one, that's the core thing they built their entire setting on. Let's set the bar somewhere between The Beast Arises and the Youth Let's Play versus a Necron book. Like, the truth is probably somewhere in that nebulous region of quality. If they wanted to impress and convince me, I like some of Guy's prior work elsewhere, but I would have been like, if it was an all shots fired from a narrative noveling perspective, it would have been a Dan Abnett book. No, not trying to be mean when I say that, but like, he's the best author they have, consistency wise. Like, pretty much everything he writes is very readable and good. So,
but you can't kind of do like a Riggs Murtaugh kind of situation where they're like, every time something launches, Abnett's just like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
You're a loose cannon.
Too old for this
You're a
shit.
loose cannon, Abnett. I want your badge and your gun on my desk.
Abnett
Your
would
pen
be
and your
Murtaugh.
typewriter.
Abnett is Murtaugh, but Aaron Dembski-Bowden has got to be Riggs, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd see them to finish that Black Legion trilogy. This new 40k stuff can wait until he finishes my damn story, so I can figure out what to do.
That said, it's cool that they're pushing things forward. Obviously, something like this the story needs to progress past the Psychic Awakening. There's now a big hole in reality stretching across the entire galaxy, and the Necrons are pissy about it because the alarm clock has gone off. So maybe this may cause things to happen.
So because 8th edition is all about the Cicatrix Maledictum, can we call it the Gape edition?
Goatsy.40k.cx.
No, we cannot. We're seeing massive narrative shifts. So at the launch of the last edition, we had the Cicatrix Maledictum open up and kind of tear the universe in half. And we're being promised kind of even similar levels of story advancement here. So what are your guys' thoughts about where is the story going? What are we seeing? Obviously, Necrons are kind of the big bad of this edition here, like with 8th edition being kind of like Chaos Rising, and 9th being solidly like Silent King coming back and kind of reclaiming his forces and getting stuff in. Where are we going? What are we doing? In life in general, not Warhammer.
My answer to both is Tyranids turn up and eat everything.
Fair.
Slowly waiting around to die, really.
So very positive feedback from the New Zealand contingent.
Yeah.
Everything's going to die.
Right.
Everyone
Everyone dies from the plague.
If you had to pay the prices we pay for 40k, you'd be happy too.
But you got to play 40k last week. We didn't.
That's true.
Yesterday.
We just finished a little mini RTT at our friend's garage yesterday.
Scandalous.
It was a good day for 40k yesterday. This feels good.
We got
Lucky.
no more COVID, man.
Yeah, they're all COVID free since 2020.
Yeah.
Although these guys are coughing on us through Skype, so I'm a bit worried now.
All I can say is I have not seen any new Death Guard rules, and this whole thing has been happening, and it's part of Psychic Awakening. Maybe? Question
It's
mark?
like,
Oh, that's the new Death Guard rule is COVID.
COVID
Still-
is the
he's still
new.
my
Yeah. The world has
Guard
gone
won
on
all the tournaments in the last 2 months.
I did just receive my new blight crawlers. 3 more came in today. I'm all about that blight crawler life.
If you don't rename your Chaos Lord to be Rona,
Okay. So are Death Guard the ultimate casual at all costs players? Is that what they are? Because they destroyed all the tournaments?
Yes.
Well, that was my thing. If I can't win tournaments, then there just won't be any tournaments.
That's right. There's no game to play.
If your opponent is unable to leave their house, did you win automatically?
Yeah, you have to come within 6 feet of me to play. Oh, you can't? Sorry, guess I win. That was your choice.
I would like to... Here, let me examine these nicely painted models of yours.
With my mouth.
I'm going to cough, breathe on them heavily.
Oh.
Well, wait. That's like most 40k players looking at models, to be honest. Like, you can't just count that out.
Am I wrong? When I do a nice model, everyone who picks it up is pretty much a monster?
Yeah, they have to have recently eaten Doritos.
Dude, it's the worst. Like, I can tell who's a professional painter or not by how you pick up a model.
Or more importantly, they ask, "Can I pick it up and take a look at it?"
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's amazing when that happens. It doesn't happen as often as you want it to.
So wait, are you telling me I shouldn't pick up your incredibly delicate model by its sword?
Oh.
Maybe the banner pole would be a better choice.
Ah, there we go. Yeah.
I wanted to see
I
how
would
strong
take
his
that.
glue connection
I
is.
only pick up Baden by his top knot. So.
Oh, stop.
What you're going to do is find the part of the model that's going to be the least convenient to glue back together and will never sit correctly, and pick it up by that.
Perfect.
Shake it.
He's going to be comfortable saying no when people are like, oh, hey. I'm like, no, leave that alone. There's like at least 2 guys locally who I do that with. It's fantastic. They released a 2...
Oh, you know that, right?
No, Danny
right
is...
here, John.
I think the most mad I've ever seen Danny was a local tournament. It was out at MJ's. One of our friends, Joe, and Danny, you already know where this is going.
Oh my god, I was so pissed.
Danny was playing Chaos Army. He had the brand new, just released Bloodthirster, and Joe turns, bumps it, it falls to the ground, breaks off its base. But of course, it's a Bloodthirster, so it's attached to the base by like a 1/4 millimeter of plastic. And like the entire life and energy left the room, and everyone was just quiet. And it was like Joe was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I was like, "It's fine."
With just a look of how did he combine murderous hate and resignation?
I was scared for my safety, and I was nowhere near this thing.
Well, this is after I had asked him to stop rolling my dice.
I have 2 related anecdotes to this. Number 1 is Siegler related. The very first time I ever encountered Siegler in person, and he walked through. It was at ATC. He walked through and actually knocked off some models for my side of the. We weren't playing each other or anything. He was just coming by, and he knocked over some models and broke them. Specifically, it was like a Tomb Blade or 2, and he was sorry and apologetic. And he in ATC, I don't know how he did it. Like immediately found glue in a pin vise, and somehow I got it fixed really quickly.
Dang,
but that was the first time I ran into him. Which
that and the 20% discount he gave you to the Art of Wars coaching service just really helped that broken model.
Oh man, I never got that discount code. And the other thing was, I said this in the other reaction video, which was about the Realms of War battle table. The one time I was forced to play on that thing in a tournament, one of my Ghost Arcs slipped off of it and just smashed into 900 pieces. And because Ghost Arcs have 10 little tiny rods that stick out, because we need that rod in our lives, and just dropped probably 15 distinct pieces on the ground, and I never did get around to repairing it. Here, for the purposes of the camera but not the podcast, these are those player pieces.
You still have the shame pile.
Of course.
Next to the desk, never forget.
It broke him.
It was
Well,
so
now,
sad.
We know we're getting a new monolith. We know we're getting a new warrior kit. The green plastic rod is quietly going the way of lead miniatures. Do you get like a new arc kit to get rid of those plastic rods? Do you guys think?
No, everything that has the translucent rod looks like it's getting a new kit. It looked like we had the warriors, which is one of them. The monolith is another one of them. Destroyers. It looked like we had I was calling it the obese destroyer, for destroyer having destroyer than obese destroyer, because he looked like a destroyer that ate two other ones and just didn't go to the gym at
American
all.
destroyer.
Yeah, a really chunky boy. But I suspect we're getting a new destroyer kit. So
hell yeah. Finally.
Heck yeah. They released a 2-page Q&A with the announcement of this new thing, which was hilariously snarky, like all the way throughout, with like typical GW social media team snarkiness
Can
on
we
there.
pause and talk about snark and talk about who the fuck was that with the whiteboard?
Well, I'm not going to stop recording, but talk about Pete Foley all you want.
Oh yeah, Pete. Pete, just troll on everyone with his whiteboard.
Pete Foley is my spirit animal.
It was pretty funny, especially since one of his to-do items was make Dark Angels the best faction, and literally the thing I said the moment I read that was, that is a checkbox that's never getting filled.
Well, hang on, because I played against some Dark Angels yesterday, and I got some theories on that, man.
They're pretty good.
Best faction ever theories?
Fucking good.
Now, are Dark Angels the best faction ever, or are you just not great at playing against them? Because for me, all other factions are amazing, and my Chaos are terrible. But that is possibly a little bit of bias.
I played against Chaos yesterday too, and I got to say, I think Possess Bomb is gonna knock Space Marines off the podium.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Space Marine armies contain the highest snipers per capita,
I was going to say, but then there's eliminators.
Yeah, snipers per capita, and then Chaos reliance on characters to make things work. I'm a big fan of having to Voltron my unit to effectiveness by different buffs.
If only there were a 70-point metal box that you could store items inside that made them what's that? Like some sort of model that you could put other models into that would protect them from bullets for a time. I'm probably speaking nonsense. I haven't seen anything like that in the rules, but it would be pretty amazing if it existed.
It's coming in 9th edition, though.
If you don't kill all those characters turn 1, they are going to ruin your entire game.
Here we go. I should not have to adjust my tactics and spending to fit a rule set and other people. What I want to play should win every time, regardless of rules, other people, composition.
Oh, so you play Elder?
There was locally an orc player who refused to buy any new orc models because GW had a conspiracy to make people buy knobs with power claws.
A business that has a conspiracy to make you spend money.
Yeah. Well, the reaction is like, shock. Local business wants you to spend more money on their product. It's like,
the conspiracy is it's a company. Oh no, the real horror is capitalism.
I've been doing the enemy was capitalism all along.
So, okay, I can now answer that question about what I think the book is going to be about. It'll be about late-stage capitalism in the 40K universe. The Silent King is actually like the Wall Street broker dude. He's coming in.
He's the Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, he's the Wolf of Wall Street. He's back.
We do have Gordon Gecko.
Just
we do have Bobby G on the cover.
Constantly shooting into his mouth that's always closed.
Guilliman's on the cover. Oof.
He's the
I actually
same
think it's just going to be a
as
9-book
I.
series on Gilliman's administration. Actually,
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're pretty into that then, Bottle?
thank you, mistress.
No.
Well, when I release the audio for this episode, it's going to be called "Thank You, Mistress," the 9th edition review. No, like
Oh yes, please.
You don't even have to put
That
the
is the
9th edition
title.
review part.
just thank you, Mistress.
Thank you, mistress.
Perfect.
I always feel
Oh.
really bad because like the guy was apart from that cool, so I don't want to like shit talk him. But
And
I
you
was
got to
like, it
be
was-
careful not to mention anything about the event because there is this app where we can look up events that you've been to.
Oh shit! I already said it was LVO, but I did.
And which round it was.
Do you like how yeah. And I mean, how many Dark Eldar players could you have possibly played in the BCP?
You actually even said it
pairing
was,
app?
what round it was, John.
He did.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Delete it all. Delete it all.
He essentially told everybody for anyone who's already looked on their phone.
That's fair.
But also,
My
there's
LVO
also like a
Dark
possibility
Eldar.
that John might have talked about this event at some point and said, "Hey, I played this person in the last round."
Oh man.
Yeah.
So there's
Go
one
listen to
really
this podcast.
embarrassed person who's going to hear this maybe, and that person. I wonder if the embarrassment like fuels them though, and they're like, this is their fetish. So like they're really happy about it.
All he's gonna do is talk to his miniature and be like, "I'm sorry, he doesn't understand you, Mistress."
I'm
Oh.
sorry, mistress.
Hey, look, don't ever let anyone shame you, bro, about your kinks. We're all into some weird shit.
I'm not here to tell anyone how to hobby, and if they want to thank their models individually in a weird way, I mean that's what's for me to say.
I mean,
What's
if
What
you
you
have a
did was exactly shaming.
Why?
if you think about
I mean,
all the guys in this conversation
What are
right
the
now,
odds of that guy's going
talking
listen
to your
this?
models is probably the least weird thing.
Fair. Back to the 9th edition reveals. Terrain was called out by both of the 40k overlords, or I'm sorry, aspiring overlords of Pete and his buddy, whose name escapes me at this moment here.
Stu.
Stu, yeah, Pete and Stu, of being underserved by the current rule set. And I think all of us have seen in games where like our terrain definement stage is like, what is a ruin? What is a walkway? You know, what is a building? So seeing some major enhancements coming for the terrain rules. Personally, I'm a little concerned that we're going to get like specific pictures of terrain kits. I'm being like, this rule has this rule, this GW kit has this rule, and like not a lot of gray area in between. But what are some of your guys' thoughts about it? I'll talk together in 3, 2, 1.
We 100%
Fifth
will get
edition.
that.
We get the opportunity to have maybe not only some interesting terrain that changes the game and helps some armies out that might want to hide models every once in a while and not just lose them instantaneously, but the game has always been more advanced than 2 pages of terrain rules can allow for. Even when we didn't use those 2 full pages, like, oh, you'd see a crater on the board and be like, this is a crater, right? And they go, yeah, of course. And then you'd be like, okay, and then something would interact with it that, the crater is -2 to charge. They'd be like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, there's literally 2 pages of terrain rules, and this is one of the items.
I
Please
actually
let
have a
this
really
impact
weird
the game
idea.
in some way.
I'm just going to have to jump out, guys. So thanks heaps, and thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Yeah, no problem. We'll
Yeah,
do this
thank
again
you.
sometime.
Good. Later, Mark.
So I got a weird idea. How do people feel about having universal USRs for terrain types, where you basically just say these are the different things that terrain can do, and these are the general types that will have them, and then you figure it out with what the terrain has.
I mean, that's basically what we did in 8th edition. We took those 2-page rules and we just abstractly slapped them onto whatever MDF terrain we had lying around.
Yeah, but this time
But,
have
like-
it be a little bit more official.
Yeah.
Sure.
Their
Well, like,
official
that's what
classifications
Malifaux
like
does, for
heavy
instance.
ruin, light ruin, woods,
Yeah.
hill, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get behind that.
I care less about how they do it and more the end product. Like, I just want terrain to affect the game.
Yeah. I think we're going to be going to a situation where tables are going to have a terrain sheet with the table to define what each piece is, because what I don't want to happen is leaving it up to the players to define which each terrain piece is, because if you go up against a player
you can't
who's
trust fucking players.
One, you can't
Yeah,
trust players.
scum.
And if, like, say, Seth, if you're playing someone who isn't as vocal as you are, you get to dictate what the table is, and you get to dictate what's best for you in that situation. And you know that person isn't going to fucking speak up to you. So I think this is a great idea, and it really adds a lot of tactical depth to play. But I don't think at a tournament level, the player should be in charge of deciding what terrain is what.
Yeah.
What-
Theo
it's
defined
funny-
terrain.
It's funny you should say that because I'm going to blow my own trumpet here for a sec. So I run the New Zealand ITC circuit, right?
Brag.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty
Flex.
fucking amazing.
Flex.
Just go ahead and rest that arm from patting
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
on the back.
And so what I'm in the middle of doing right now is exactly that. So I've got like a design of the table with all the different deployment maps, and I'm in the process of figuring out a set deployment that a set terrain setup that's fair, balanced, and works for every deployment for the tournaments.
And now, those of us who went to the LVO, where they had the top 100 tables, had set terrain for different deployment types. How did that work for you guys?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
I was a big fan.
Yeah,
as well.
it was nice to know there was no conversation to be had. This is how it was, and we just set the table up as such.
Yeah, I thought it was great. They figured out how to do terrain layouts for 8th just in time for 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your new shtick, isn't it?
It is.
The terrain rules were designed with 9th in mind.
Could you imagine
Well, I mean-
if they gave it a year to breathe? Like 8th, actually, we had all these rules and, things were kind of interesting for 6 months to a year. We actually got to play this game because of the pandemic. But if that was not the case, like, they could have released closer to Christmas and made it a Christmas thing, and we would have just had like 6 months of, oh, here you go. Here's the end. We all know 9th is coming, but just enjoy this game that's now has all the rules out, has been FAQ'd, play some big events, solve that meta, and then we'll drop 9th on you. Just when you're sick of it.
I don't even want to play 8th now that I know 9th is coming.
Yep.
Yep, and I think we said we're looking at like I was saying earlier in our chat here, but like probably a 620, 627 release date for 9th, I think is a pretty good range of when it's going to be at. I guess, especially considering how 8th launched and it was around a month in between those times. And if you look at it as well, you have, they said they're going to start taking pre-orders again at the end of this month, which means Engine War almost guaranteed to come out on the 6th. But there's 2 more books that have to come out before.
Talons of the Emperor and Pariah, right?
It's War of the Spider.
War of the Spider.
Pariah.
And isn't
have to
there a
come
Talons of the Emperor one, or is that in War of the Spider?
No, that's
in War of the Spider.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's my damn custodes rules I've been waiting for.
My
Look at
sister's
that.
Silence rules. Shout out to Falcon.
Cacaw. That's the correct bird sound for that, Seth. I don't know if you knew. But also coming for 9th edition, something that was hyped was set command points. And this is something that's been kind of coming around for a while, as every army starts with the same amount of command points. And what I believe is happening is you spend command points for allies or different detachments or things like that. From a list building perspective, I think that's super interesting because for me, that makes me pull back and only want to do one codex to kind of maximize those things. What about you guys?
Yeah.
They
think
previewed
so.
this already. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's going to unbalance the game to an extent because you have some mono codexes that are still pretty CP hungry. Case in point, orcs. Like, any good orc stratagem is like 2 CP, period. So, like, making it across the board, everyone has the same CP. If it's a low amount, if it's like you get 8 CP, I'm going to have a problem playing some of my traditional orc lists. But if they're like, it's 15 CP, that's fine. But then there's other armies that are like, what the hell do I do with 15 CP?
I just cast auto explode thing for Death Guard like a bunch.
Yeah.
I reroll all dice even when you don't have to.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
one per phase.
You don't need to re-roll that. I'm like, no, I'm big dick in this thing. I was gonna re-roll. Like, why not?
It's that command point energy.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what that threshold is, right? Where they start. And then obviously being mono codex or mono faction is going to give you some bonus. So, but you're right, Seth. I did not think of that. I did not think of them like producing a relatively low CP cap to what we have right now, where orcs are taking like triple battalion or a battalion and a brigade, like where they have 18 to 21 command points, and now maybe they're going to like 12. Like that.
Well, like the new Harlequin shit, like it's CP heavy, and if you're like, cool, you don't get to have half the tricks you were looking at. You're like, well, now I've got to change up what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Other things coming from 9th edition, from the little hints we were given there. Let's see what else we got. So we have our CP changes.
Our PP changes.
And then Flyers. Flyers getting some love and some differentiation here. And we can kind of roll this into a conversation about reserves are changing as well.
Right. I was just going to bring that up as well.
Did they actually give us anything concrete on reserves, or just say reserves is changing?
Well, they said that they're going to do tactical reserves, and that's going to be something that's available to everybody. So what that means is unknown. If we do some speculation and look at like what tactical reserves meant in the past, potentially reserving your own units to walk on from your table edge, if that's something that still happens. And they did say you could encircle the foe. So maybe that means that you can come on from the sides.
Well, they kind of alluded to having armies could bring their reserves in multiple different ways,
Yeah. Which hype for any changes to that? Like that seems like a really tactical and interesting change to the game, to have units that are held in reserve and come on a little bit later in the battle. That could change how good different units are by a lot.
Do we think this is similar to like the Age of Sigmar style, everything can summon? So instead of like summoning, which is kind of like the Age of Sigmar stick, now we have tactical reserves and 40k instead of like summoning.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like a sideboard?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they rolled it into some sort of new universal strats, like they had the universal stratagems when 8th came out.
That'd be good.
Like 1 CP for infiltrate or 1 CP for deep strike or outflank,
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure.
You have to find a way to balance it against the codexes that already have some stratagem that. Yep. But they might that could be an FAQ of it's 2 CP to deep strike normally, but this codex that has a deep strike track, it's 1 CP for you because you have better technology in that aspect.
Yeah,
or alternatively usable once per game as opposed to multiple times.
Yeah.
Flyers. Making them fly off the board does not destroy them anymore.
So happy.
For those of us that don't, that was like 6th and 7th,
yeah. If you don't play Eldar Flyers, then you actually have to like try to keep your flyer, somewhat flying in a pattern on the table. It's nice not to have to. Some dude screens you out and you can't land your flyer. Therefore, your flyer just flies off the board and dies. And
You mean one of my Doom sites every single game of 40k ever?
Yeah, but it's just that doesn't feel narrative. That doesn't feel fluffy. That doesn't even like tactical. You're like, why can't my plane stop over your guys? It's a bomber. It literally flies over guys and drops shit on them.
But it's good. It's good that it gets to come back in.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have mixed feelings about it.
So it seems to be like what they're doing is removing a lot of the feels bad things from the game because it doesn't feel satisfying for me to lose my plane.
All of Eldar out. That's what the new book is about.
Yeah. So like it doesn't feel satisfying for me that my opponent took like 100 models and spread them out in a way that my plane just dies.
Well, the board, it's pretty well known at this point. The board is getting smaller. This is a pretty important thing to have to do for models that have minimum movement.
Yeah.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
Is it confirmed by GW the board's getting smaller, or is this still just the...
I am just stating internet rumors that are my own opinion and have no basis in reality or anything else.
There's lots of people saying that the board would get smaller. Okay.
Just for reference, FLG had their final sale today on their mats.
And my favorite numbers, unrelated, are 3 and 5. So if I were to just say those numbers, but unrelated to the previous thing we were talking about.
High Lords of Sesame Street down there with their numbers of the day.
Fucking Michael Tempe the Count.
So that's interesting. If they're going to a 3x5 board and the other rumor that everything's going up about 20% on its points, because if you shrink the board, but you don't change the point density of the game, you're losing a lot of room to maneuver. Horde armies can just kind of roll over you because you got nowhere to get away from them. But if they're also falsely, artificially increasing point level by 20%, then you'll see the armies also shrink in size.
I
and
suspect that
that's
latter
why I
one
don't
makes
think
more
it's gonna happen.
sense. What you said there, that second thing, tracks with me, Seth.
Yeah.
See,
and
this
then-
is
Andrew,
this is
you were
why I
saying something.
don't think. I was just going to say this is why I don't think it'll happen. So you shrinking the board, you're increasing the points, you're reducing the amount of models you can fit in one game. You are selling less models to the customer, therefore GW is making less money. Why would they do that?
There's
Because
actually,
the entry point is lower.
There's a
And they specifically went out and said it in the rules discussion that they had rebalanced the game for multiple point levels. So they're trying to make it easier to get in and play.
And every single kitchen table that you buy from IKEA is 3x5. Just unrelated.
So
unrelated to what we're talking about.
Maybe what they're doing then is going from kill team to a 3x5 table for say 1,000 to 1,500 points. But you can't. I mean, the amount of models you can fit into a 2,000 point army and the amount of models they would sell, I can't see them dropping that 2,000 point size.
The old people in this chat remember second edition Hero Hammer, where 2,000 points was like 10 dudes and a tank.
Yeah. It was a Chaos Lord with a demon weapon and the stuff that made him good.
And then that's it. But I can see it happening. Like I said, they're trying. And again, we're dealing with a world where homes are getting smaller, spaces are getting tighter. And kind of like, how do you future-proof your business? So yeah, they might sell less models if there is a 3x5 space, but there's a lot of homes now that can't fit a 4x6 board. And there's a lot of game stores that can't fit, 10 to 20 4x6 tables. And even then, like I know our local game store up here, we have like so many 4x6 boards, but that's because they were built up. And when we hold our GTs in the local store, we're out in hallways and outside trying to fit all these tables in. So I think these light spaces are going to be like a really good thing to kind of make the game more accessible and more playable.
Especially as they push into like these Asian markets that are not very well moved. I know that traditionally when we see Japanese homes, for instance, they are palatial. And clearly they have room for big tables. They probably run, small GTs out of their homes all the time. But for everyone else who's not living in very well-appointed mansions, that kitchen table is the one flat surface you have where you could feasibly play a game at home, right? And if you're buying it from IKEA, that's the size. So
yeah.
They do also seem to be wanting to try and make the games go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's something, honestly, like, again, we're all old guard here. That's something they've been trying for 20 years, is to try and get the games to be quicker. Like, remember the White Dwarf articles where, like, you can do this in your lunch break. You can do this here, and kind of spreading it out. And none of those things really kind of stuck. I mean, we as a stubborn community kind of stick at this certain points level.
2,000 points in 3 hours seems to be what everybody wants, at least in the competitive community.
Yeah, and if you look at the old edition, like I was cleaning up one of my old computers, I found one of my old orc lists from like 6th or 7th, and it was like 1850, and that made me just realize, like, oh yeah, it was all 1850, 2.5 hours. So it's kind of like that sweet time spot, like time regardless. Moving into this kind of smaller space, and kind of less maneuverability and kind of how assault armies are going to fare. The other thing that was announced today was some changes to tanks, where tanks are now going to be able to shoot out of combat against horde armies.
Into combat.
And into combat. Against hordes, they're going to just get max shots against any horde. What are you guys' thoughts about those changes and kind of how they relate to the game as we know it?
Hold on. So the blast quality is something that they're going to add to weapons with variable shots. Did they say that it was going to be max shots, or did they say that they were going to get more shots?
They said they would get the maximum number of shots.
Okay, all right.
So
because I was wondering if it was like roll an extra dice and
hey John,
results.
You should mute your mic because we can hear you remodeling your house.
Very true. I believe they said max shots. So, for sake of argument, a battle cannon is going to get 12 shots if it moves under half distance because of Lehman Russ?
Oh yeah, well Lehman Russ that shoots twice will get 12 shots.
Yeah. So, as an orc player, this makes me sad.
What kind of things do you guys want to see to kind of counteract that? Because like I mainly play assault armies too, and hearing that kind of like, oh man, that's not good, because tri-pointing and wrapping is like my only defensive method against a lot of these armies. Like, what do you want to see from the assault phase now?
Well, I mean, if the High Lord's favorite numbers 3 and 5 say anything, then assault armies might actually get some sort of a buff just off of that.
True.
It's fair. It's fair.
I mean, that's significant because already assault armies, most of the really good ones are fast enough to get into you on the first turn.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
But what does that do to deployment zones, right? So if the High Lord favorite numbers of 3 and 5,
The holy numbers of the High Lords.
what's our deployment zone look like? Do we still keep that 24-inch gap?
By popular demand, all deployments have become Vanguard Strike.
God.
You monster! No,
God,
There is only one
fucking
deployment
asshole.
map, and it's Vanguard.
you are now worse than the Mistress guy, just for that entire thing.
When he rolls Vanguard,
What if
he
it
says,
changed
"Thank
to
you,
18?
mistress."
Does it change to like an 18-inch gap?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
But
that
if-
would work.
If you change to an 18-inch gap, then I don't want to see Gene Stealers anywhere in anyone's fucking deployment zone.
Dude, seriously.
So true talk. There is this guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's tall and carries a bunch of bony swords. His name is the Swarm Lord, and
I've
that
heard of
guy
him. I have not
that
seen
guy
him on
will
the
be
table.
chitin implant attack deep inside of you every single game forever if they don't do something about it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
here's the
You're gonna
I think an
taste
18-inch gap
taste
is-
that Kraken implant attack every game.
Yeah,
Forever.
18
So
inches is
this-
gonna be rough to deal with, because if you look at just even any army that has the ability to advance and charge, period, is going to be able to cross that gap.
Dude, there's
At
so
least
many
at
things.
24-inch, you had like, okay, foot infantry probably aren't going to cross that gap. Maybe a bike unit or a jump pack unit might be able to cross that gap, but it was a unit with high mobility.
An 18-inch gap, I can get Mortarion in combat turn 1 without deep strike or without warp time.
Yeah.
Well, if that happens, I'm fishing out my 20 Custodes bikers.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
it.
Which
Yeah.
will now have 15 CP. It's a great army.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
that's a lot of
just one
stupid dice.
Supreme Command
Oh,
and 1,400 spare points.
So the other thing we didn't talk about with the CP, if it's not going to be tied to detachments and you're not forced to take troops, what does that do to army construction?
Who's to say that you're not forced to take troops, though?
Who's to say the detachment?
Well, just as many. If you're not forcing me to take 3 battalions, you're just making me take a battalion or something like that. I think it opens up a lot of ideas list build wise, because I don't have to have 9 units of Gretchen to make my triple battalion run.
This is solely speculation. Sorry to interrupt you there, Danny. But I do want to say it right after that. I know nothing about the new edition, and everything I say is supposition and nonsense from my fevered brain, which has not slept. But I want to state that I think it would be what we've considered to be detachments for the entirety of the game have always been a fixed thing based on 2,000 points. You get 3 detachments, etc., etc. And I think the 3 detachments is just an ITC limitation. I don't think the main book even has that.
No, it's in the main book.
Okay, good. Okay,
It has
so it's got
these point levels you can take so many of them, because I reference the team tournament at LVO where originally John thought he could have multiple, and also that's where
Danny. It was not
John
just
Anthony.
me.
it has.
It was
has
John.
the
It was all John's idea.
I like cheating at casual events myself, and so
it's my favorite.
it
But-
feels good when you win and you beat people by at list creation.
We
Yeah.
tried to take to the team tournament at LVO on the last day a 6 Lord Discordance across the 2 of us. Our army was
Which is a friendly and casual list in and of itself.
our army was what, Danny? 6 Lord Discordance and a knight.
Yeah, that was the list.
Great.
The list.
But to finish what I was saying, the detachments have been based on that 2,000 point paradigm. If I were thinking or extrapolating, theorizing, I would say that what if what we call a battalion changes based on the points level you're playing at. If those different levels mean something, right? So if you're playing at 1,000 points, a battalion is an HQ and a troop. If you're playing 1,500,
what you're describing is 8th edition fantasy.
Yeah, I know 100%. And we know that they use fantasy now as their playtest vehicle for rules that make it into 40K.
Danny just got hard talking about fantasy for a second.
Yeah, you can see it in his
Sorry,
face.
hold on. I was distracted there.
He needs me to keep going so he can
I like
finish.
that, Michael.
Oh, no.
No.
Sorry.
No, but I like that because that was a system in fantasy. At this point level, you have X amount of required choices, and then you were limited to the other slots. You could take, I think, was it like, a 2,000 point game, you could take 2 or 3 of the rare slot or something like that.
The meme that I need to see now is that one that you see come up every once in a while with the 2 figures, and you need to pick the best rule from AOS that the new edition stole, and it's like, hey, you made this, and then they take it and they go, I made this.
Hot lukewarm take here. What I think is going to happen is 1 battalion will be free. So it'll be the same thing. So 2 HQ, 3 troops, like the rest of the same restrictions. That one will cost 0 CP. All the other ones are going to have CP costs. And that's a way to balance it. So like Supreme Command, maybe that costs 2 CP to run a Supreme Command in there. Maybe like the auxiliary detachments, they cost more CP because you're just kind of cherry picking a way to get Mortarion into a Chaos list or something like that. That costs more CP. But I do think you're going to see 1 battalion being free as your like baseline army. So we're still going to see the 2 HQ, 3 troops, but we're not going to see, Seth, what you're saying of kind of having to take 17 brigades to make your orc army work because that's going to punish you. Or maybe brigades will give you bonus CP because they're so hard to fill. So maybe like battalion free, brigade is like +2 CP. Maybe like Vanguard is -1 CP.
Maybe some stuff
just
like
as an example,
are like
of course.
free.
Yeah. Let's say I see something like that happening. I see like your first free battalion being the 2 HQ 3 troop because I don't think 9th is going to be a huge change from what we already know. It's going to be kind of like the way 6th to 7th was, and then 7th to 8th is going to be like a mild progression of the rules.
I'm going to see we never had the opportunity in 8th, and we probably never will, for us to all know that Ragnar was going to make it into every souped Marine list ever.
Enjoy you get to feel.
Next week, I'm going to go on a longer tirade than I did on the last thing that I was on about Ragnar, where I talked about him for like 5 minutes straight. But because I have some feelings, I've been seeing a lot of that guy. And
you're going to be seeing a whole lot more of him.
Oh.
But now he might cost someone some CP at least.
Let me tell you about the hot new mob rule segment of worst characters in 40K that we're going to be doing across all episodes there.
Can you just do an Andy Kaufman bit where it's always Cypher? Please?
No.
Because I hate that
can
guy.
Can I spoil the first one, John?
Yeah, you can spoil it. I mean, I'm going to put this up on YouTube and put the audio out, but yeah, you can spoil the first one so people are prepared.
Yeah, so the first one we're doing is...
If they listen this long in,
Thazar, the Necron Pirate Lord. Like, what a shitty character. Like,
which one?
Anyway, I don't want to get into
the
it.
Necron Pirate.
He's a Necron Lord who decided to become a pirate.
What's his name?
It's Thazar. THASZAR.
Okay.
Yeah, he decides to be.
He's in the fluff.
It's like Luffy from One Piece.
To be perfectly fair, he just reverted to his Citadel Journal programming, where they were pirates, because everything cool in Citadel Journal was a pirate. Like, hey, these Eldar are corsairs. These space robots are pirate, because everyone's trying to steal your shit.
Hells yeah. Boys, before we close this out here, does anyone want to add anything else about kind of the net? I'm going to go around the room here to make this a little bit more balanced. As my previous ones have been awful. But Andrew, being as it's probably Tuesday at 3 p.m. for you at this point, 9th edition coming out, the other kind of launches coming here. What are your thoughts or kind of stuff we might not have touched on?
I'm just excited about it, man. I'm looking forward to the change, but I I want to see that CP overhaul. I want to see a terrain overhaul, and I want them to do terrain right because I'm sick of having to do it for them.
Yeah, fair. Seth.
I'm definitely interested in it. I'll be interested to see what it does to army composition. I think if we're seeing smaller boards and smaller armies, with tanks being supposedly getting a buff here, you might see some elite heavy lists or tank heavy lists. So I think it'll shake it up, and that'll be fun. I like seeing new armies.
Nice. Will.
Right now, I'm really curious to get some actual details because this has just been a nice little taste. I need to see like the FAQ that they're going to be doing on Tuesday. I need to see a little bit more meat before I decide. Like, I know I'm definitely interested and I'm going to want to try it out, but I need to know more than just the little hints that I'm getting right now.
Fair. Michael.
I know that I talk an endless amount of detached saltiness about a lot of things, which, if we have a brand, that's not a bad one to have, in my opinion. But I actually I'm very excited, not only for a new edition, but the fact that they appear to be recognizing that, hey, we got 2 or 3 years off of this edition. We need to sell things. It's what we do. And we can improve the game, hopefully, on all levels. We can have our casual build, and then we can also not only acknowledge competitive, but have shaped this to be more compatible with that. That's very exciting to me. So I'm excited. Plus, my favorite faction, they literally doubled the size of the amount of data sheets we got. So that, who can be upset about that? That new Silent King, I just want 3 of them.
Oh, so yeah.
One for the table, and then 2 to hold books in between.
And then just 1 to just plop your balls on, to just be like,
well,
king
the new
of the
monolith has a giant ball instead of a crystal, that green crystal. So, I assume that you put 2 on the table, you're like, I'm going to drop these big balls here, check them out.
You're going to put 2 monoliths down and like, hey, they don't have their ball things in there. You're like, oh, you just wait.
It's a conversion.
And that's how Michael got banned from LVO.
No, that kind of BCP go to LVO. They'll still let Michael's balls go to LVO. Danny.
I'm very excited for the new edition. I think that's been echoed pretty conclusively here. I'm really ready for a change up. I'm excited about new models, new armies, seeing like everything change. I hope that this draws even more people into the hobby, which I'm also excited about. I think there's a great chance for some good community building here. I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait to see some crunchy details about this edition, like some cold and hard facts, like Will was saying. Big hype for me.
Yeah. I know Danny and I are both very excited to see kind of the crunchy parts coming out of this new edition here. And this wonderful gathering is brought to you by kind of our Rogue Trader network of podcasts. Of course, Danny and I are representing Mob Rules. And then we have Seth with the wonderful Dangli Boyz, his herd that he tries to control. At times Andrew.
It just happens.
Andrew and Matt from earlier. With the NZ40 Cabal podcast, which I said right this time.
Except for the Z.
Yeah, I said the
Z. Shit. No, well, I live in American freedom. Woo.
Eagle screech sound.
Screech. Woo. And then Will and Michael with the High Lords of Terra. Of course, us excited to bring you all of the news and information coming for this new edition of Warhammer that's going to be hitting shelves. I'm guessing like a month, maybe. I don't know.
If we want to do this over the course of what would probably end up taking 3 or 4 hours, we should probably do something similar to this when the actual book drops. So that we can process it.
I'm gonna need to take some time off work for that one, probably.
Yeah, and for sure, the sort of like YouTube Skype channels like this, we're gonna keep posting more of this. We're gonna keep coming together to kind of share our collective salt and knowledge. But mostly salt, I think, for me anyway. Danny has to keep me grounded for a lot of that stuff.
I like how there's always one salty guy in every podcast.
And that is.
And I was
I'm
realizing
recklessly
that-
positive.
That,
Yeah,
that Michael,
sometimes
my
it's
salty boy, is named Mike as well.
Perfect.
Guys, did I miss plugging anything else? Is there anything else you want to plug before I hit the stop recording button? Because I will not be editing like at all.
As always, hammerheadgames.net.
Oh
Tony,
yeah.
Tony over there misses you. He's a small business operating during the pandemic, and he would love it if you would go to hammerheadgames.net and smash that buy shit button, even though you don't know if you're going to need any of this with the new edition, just so that he can keep his little awesome kid that he recently had, and I think he's getting a new house. I believe that all costs money.
You're still going to need trays. You're still going to need wound dials. Like, those things are going to exist.
You'll need
fine.
the new 9th edition templates, but perhaps I've said too much.
So,
don't do that to me.
What I will say is you
Just
will need
kidding,
wound
that
dials,
was just
which
me
Tony
making a
has.
joke.
So,
I hope.
Hammerhead Games has great
Do not
wound
put that
dials.
curse on me.
Don't put that energy out there.
High Lords, do you guys have Hammerhead Games merch out there?
I believe he added it to the web store. We don't actually make anything from it. It's just a hey, cool branding thing. And 3D6 Wargaming also has our objective markers as well.
Oh,
yes.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I will say, regardless of the rules changes, the measuring tools that Hammerhead does, we have a 9-inch side, a 3-inch side, and a 6-inch side. Super helpful, and especially for me who plays mainly assault armies. I use that frequently.
I was going to say you only need the 3-inch side, or wait, what are we talking about?
No, that's me.
No, that's yeah. I need like a 1-inch template, but he says there's he can't cut that small.
Oh no!
It's super sad times at my house, but hey, I have fun. That's all that matters. But yeah, for the Rogue Trader Network, we've been everyone, and in 3, 2, 1, we can say goodbye, guys. So 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, mistress.